Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Notable Prisons and the Inmates that Occupy them. You feel me? I appreciate everyone for watching up until this point. Drop some comments for feedback below, and subscribe if you like the content. But anyways, it's time for us to take a trip back east to MDC Brooklyn. It's a United States federal prison in the Sunset Park neighborhood of Brooklyn in New York. It holds male and female prisoners of all security levels. It is operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the division of the United States Department of Justice. Yeah, these are the big boys. Most prisoners held at MDC Brooklyn have pending cases in the United States District Court. MDC Brooklyn also holds prisoners serving brief sentences. As of April 2022, 1,700 prisoners are held in MDC Brooklyn. In 2019, one former warden, Cameron Lindsay, said the MDC was one of the most troubled, if not the most troubled, facility in the Bureau of Prisons. I hate when people call jails prisons. So anyways, people, from my understanding, this is like basically like going to the county jail before you go to the prison, but for the feds. But, hell. I know what y'all want to hear. Let's get right into it. Let's see who's been at this motherfucker, right? Okay, first and foremost, Juan Orlando Hernández Alvarado. Boy, I pronounced his name with flying colors. Anyways, he was a former president of Honduras during 2014 and 2022. Both periods were fraudulent elections. Look at him. His finesse game is on 750. Hernández is charged with 3 counts of conspiring to import cocaine in the United States, which carries a mandatory minimum of 10 years and a maximum of life. He's also charged with using and carrying a machine gun and destructive devices during and possessing machine guns, destructive devices, and furtherance of the cocaine importing conspiracy, which carries a mandatory minimum of 30 years. And 3, he's conspiring to use and carry machine guns and destructive devices during and possess machine guns and destructive devices in furtherance of the cocaine important conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. He's awaiting trial. Man, dude got into some shit. Good grief. Next up, Frank James. He's the perpetrator of the 2022 New York City subway attack. He's been booked in, but has been transferred from the 9th precinct, and he is awaiting trial. Next up, one of the most famous Mr. Tattletales of all time, Daniel Hernández, 6'9". Well, you know what he was charged with? Basically, for paying someone to go shoot at someone, and then he went and told on him because the heat was on him that his people were trying to kill him. I mean, hell, he knew what he signed up for when he was Mr. Big Blood and all this and all that. I'm just saying. But, he was moved to a different facility as a safety precaution, and he's been released on home confinement April 2nd, 2020. Dude is out. It's nothing much more to say about him. He done videos with all sorts of people, Milk Boys and some more shit. Next up, Allison Mack. Alex Mack was a show back in the day on the 90s on Nickelodeon. I don't know if y'all remember that. But anyways, she pled guilty to 2019 of racketeering conspiracy as part of a cult. She was released to home confinement in 2018 and sentenced in 2021 to 3 years imprisonment, now at FCI Dublin. I think we might need to touch there next, people. I think we just might. Next up, I know this dude would give everything in his power if he could fly right about now. So I don't think you could fly, Mr. Robert Golden Shower Kelly. He is a singer, and he's charged with racketeering and child abuse, kidnapping, bribery, and sex trafficking charges. Arrested in Chicago and brought to Brooklyn to face trial. Convicted in 2021. He is serving a 30-year sentence. Man, not even a hawk could fly away from that shit. Next up, we have Frank California. No, it's Frank Cali. But he was charged with extortion, and he was released in 2009. Next up, we have the big pharma guy, Mr. Wu-Tang album player, Martin Shkreli, whatever the hell his name is. He's a former CEO of Touring Pharmaceuticals, convicted in 2017 of security fraud. His bail was subsequently revoked after he made a Facebook post offering his followers $5,000 for Hillary Clinton's hair. Yeah, he was one of them Trump supporters that just, went a little bit overboard, I guess. No disrespect to the right or to the left, I'm just saying. But anyways, he's been moved to FCI Allenwood, and he's scheduled for release next year, actually. Yeah, in about a year and about a month, he will be back on social media, people, going crazy. Next up, we have Vincent Asaro. Asaro was a New York City mobster and capo in the Bonanno crime family and was found guilty in a vehicle arson case. But he was released on 4/20/2020. That's kind of lit. I mean, no pun intended, but it kind of like all transpires together. Like, yeah, that point. Next up, Keith Rainier. He's the founder of the sex cult that the girl I mentioned before was in. He's convicted in 2019 for 2 counts of sex trafficking, racketeering, forced labor conspiracy, attempted sex trafficking, and wire fraud conspiracy. He was sentenced to 120 years in prison. Damn. Where's my lighter? They smoked his ass, let me tell you. Sheesh. Next up, Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan. They were accused of shooting Run DMC Jam Master Jay in 2002, but they were charged in 2020. Yeah, these two dudes are scummy as hell. R.I.P. Jam Master Jay. Do they see with Jam Master Jay on my Adidas? What y'all know about that? And we ride around in 2-seaters. Hope it's cold because I'm coming with my heater. Let me know in the comments if y'all know who sang that. But anyways, they're serving a sentence for drug possession and robbery brought to New York to stand trial and awaiting trial and for the murder of Jam Master Jay. R.I.P. to Jam Master Jay. Next up, Linda Weston. She's indicted in 2013 for murder, racketeering, hate crimes, and other charges for leading a group who held mentally disabled individuals against their will between 2001 and 2011 in order to steal their Social Security benefits, 2 of whom died as a result of abuse. Now she's at FCI Hazleton. Damn. I know she got smoked. It doesn't say how much time she got right here, but she definitely got smoked. Next up. Abid Nasser. He's an alleged Al-Qaeda operative extradited from the United Kingdom in 2012 to face charges that he took part in an international conspiracy to conduct bombings in the United States and Europe. Sentenced in 2015 to 40 years, 3 conspirators were convicted in 2010 and 2012. He's now at another federal prison. He's at a federal prison, not a federal jail. Next up, Caswell Sr. His last name is Senior. Caswell Sr. Oh, that's Casanova, who surrendered to authorities in 2020 for racketeering, murder, narcotics, firearms, and fraud offenses. Man, free this man. Free Casanova. Dude is innocent. You feel me? I seen him way in California on the beach somewhere when all this shit took place. He innocent. He didn't do nothing, people. But according to this document, he's awaiting trial. Next up, Al Sharpton. He's a Baptist minister, political activist, and current MSNBC television host convicted of trespassing on federal property for protesting against the U.S. military presence on the island of Vieques in Puerto Rico. And he served 90 days back in 2001. He's out now. Megan Rice. She was an anti-nuclear activist and Roman Catholic nun, convicted in 2013 of sabotage for unlawfully entering the Y-12 National Security and vandalizing a facility housing weapons-grade uranium. She was released from custody on April 16th, 2015. Man, she has some fucking big cojones to go in there. Next up, Michael Cohen. He's a former Trump Organization lawyer, pled guilty in 2018 of tax evasion, making false statements to a financial institution willingly causing an unlawful corporate contribution, an excessive campaign contribution, making false statements to a congressional committee. He's serving a sentence of 3 years. His sentence started at FCI Otisville in May 2019, but was transferred to home confinement in 2020 due to COVID. In 2020, he was taken back into federal custody over disputed conditions, released again later that month. And last but not least, the woman that for some reason the media just had to stop covering and talking about, like this lady didn't have the biggest case of the century. Ghislaine Maxwell. Yep. She's on trial for helping the ultimate scummy demon of all time, Jeffrey Epstein, for all the sexual abuse charges. And she was transferred on July 6, 2020. I'm just saying, it's kind of odd that, what happened to her? Like, people, like, the media stopped talking about her, and, I'm going to just stop here. I don't want to go too deep in all that. But one thing is for sure, another thing is for certain. I appreciate y'all for watching this, and stay tuned for more episodes. Give me that feedback in the comment section.